Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 5, Episode... 8. Episode 8. I checked the title, I checked everything else before we started, I forgot to check the number. Episode 8. It's called The Last Day. Full spoilers for the episode, as per usual. And so this... Well, first of all, we're a bit later this week, because you had a power cut yesterday.
Yeah.
Which knocked us out for the night, due to lots of winter weather is going on right now. Never seen it snowing so much.
Screw the world.
Yes. But this is very Robin focused. We obviously had the reveal last time that Robin was down on this planet, and we had a lot of that. And it's funny actually, we finished season of Travelers, Dark was on Netflix, that was it. So we had those two time travel shows finished, and I feel like S.H.I.E.L.D. stepped in with this episode to say, here, you want to theorise about time loops? Here, have this episode. You can talk about time.
Do you know what's really funny is, I thought I knew exactly what was going on, and then I happened to browse Reddit, and I saw about 30 different theories. I'm like, oh, okay.
I did not do that, but there's one particular scene in this that opens the can of worms. There's one scene where I'm just like, okay, so this is just, so we get flashbacks throughout this episode as to how things happened, if they'd never left, right? Early on you see May's on the ship, and it's like 2018, and there's a few of them that are not there, but Robin's there with them. Then a few years later it's 2022, and Fitz is still there with Simmons and May, and May's raising young Robin, and they're trying to figure things out. But there's a scene about 2/3 through the episode, again in this timeline, where Fitz and May are arguing about the point of building this machine. And there's some nuggets in that conversation which completely, as I say, open a can of worms.
This is what's funny, is you get to that, and I know the point you're talking about, going, oh, it's that. I'd kind of been going on that assumption that, I didn't assume this was flashbacks to if they'd never left. I never had that in my mind.
Well, I'll rephrase that. Not if they never left, but the original time before they came to the future, if that makes more sense.
No, that's the thing. I never assumed it was that. That was never in my mind as a possibility as to what it was showing me.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know exactly why. I can't point to a specific moment of saying,
I don't know.
It can't be that.
It just naturally felt like that's the obvious thing they're doing here, because everything's happening. Because obviously I'm naturally assuming that by the end of this story, we're going to stop this from happening.
See, that's the thing. I don't know why I assumed otherwise, but I was always just under the assumption that this is the characters we're seeing. To them, this hasn't happened yet, but it will happen.
You said that in a weird way, but I know what you mean.
Was it weird? Okay.
Yeah, you could have just phrased it. No, this is after they've already went back through time.
Yes.
I think that's the more succinct way of saying that, rather than...
Yeah, to them, we're seeing it as a flashback, and to Robin it's a flashback, it's in the past. But to our characters, this is their future.
Oh, no, I understand you, but it's just a murkier way to describe it. No, this is, like, after they go back.
Yeah.
That's just the simple terms. That these flashbacks take place after our team go back to present day, in some way. However they get there, we don't know yet, but they get back, and things take place. But the scene that confirms this is when Fitz is arguing with May about building the machine, and May's been oddly hopeful. Motherhood's really loosened May up a little bit. She's been a lot more sweet. She's hugging young Robin. She's been encouraging. She's been hopeful when Fitz is like losing all hope. He's freaking out because Robin's like telling him how Simmons is going to die, and he's not very happy about it naturally. Super dark stuff. But he actually references what Voss is going to do later in the episode, because he says, "Oh, Voss couldn't stop it," and more than that later when we see that. And he says, "Oh, for all I know, we've done this 1,000 times. We're just stuck in this loop. We're a broken record. It keeps skipping and repeating." And it's like, oh, and this is the scene, it's like, oh no, so this is them after they've came back. And there's a few other comments, I think, earlier on in the other scenes that make a bit more context sense.
Yeah, there was a few, like, with Yo-Yo, when, they mentioned Flint, and she says, oh, yeah, why is she talking about someone who's not going to be born for 50 years?
Yeah, she says that, which, that was fine on its own, because I just kind of got the impression that Robin was maybe constantly doing this and mentioning people who weren't around. Kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
The line that plays specifically though for me, especially when you realise, sort of again, it's the sequence of the time loop, is when she says, "We both know they want to enslave us." Now that line still works on its own, where you just assume the Kree are going to want to enslave us. But when you know that this is them after they've came back and they've seen what the future is, it plays a little bit better. Where it works. Works in that sense. Yo-Yo's off the rails. She's got one of the big tree axes. She's ready to go down swinging. And dies.
And obviously we've got people who aren't there.
Yeah, Mac's already dead. He's confirmed. They never actually mentioned Coulson. Coulson is nowhere to be found, but they never see him.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so that's curious. Like, does he just never go back?
Maybe.
Well, I mean, originally anyway. I think this is the time we're going to break the loop and we're going to actually fix it.
Yeah, you have to assume so.
Partly just because the show itself does not revolve around this plot. We've had 4 seasons of show before we got here. We're going to have plot after this plot, so naturally this is the time where they're going to fix it. And like Sky's, because that's the other thing Fitz says in that scene. Daisy knew about it and she couldn't stop it, and it still happened. So what's funny, I think early on we kept saying, they're going to spin it and tell us it's not actually her. It's not actually Quake who did this. And the more they're going, it feels more and more like she actually just did. But they're doing other things that are interesting with it.
That's interesting, because I thought there was a moment in this episode where it was telling me, no, they're gonna swerve us more than I felt previously.
Is that when Voss shows her the footage?
Yeah, and says, "Oh no, this is the last time you were seen. Then you go into the city."
That's true. That's true. Well,
no one's witnessed it.
Let me rephrase. The big still swerve is that it wasn't her. But all of the other characters actually think it was, including Fitz.
That's fair, yeah.
Because he clearly thinks it's her that's done it in that scene. Yeah. That was kind of the point I was getting at. Is this is them after the incidents happened, when they're back in present day and they've went through the time period. They think she's done it.
Yeah.
Her friends think she's done it. Now, of course, she goes off camera. Now, did we say? I feel like we said something just in passing last week about how Flint's powers might be handy for reforming the Earth, or something. Maybe we cracked a joke about it.
Yeah, we definitely did. I'm sure.
Now, I don't know if that it's literally going to be a case of he's going to reform the Earth. If I was to make a guess right now, because obviously we get to the end, and we'll talk about all the cool stuff with Rob and timey-wimey, but when she sort of whispers her plan to May as she's dying, and obviously it's this funny moment where May comes out and says, "Okay, she told me how to save the world, but I've got a question. Who's Flint?" Yeah. That really. I'm not just doing this, but it reminds me of a joke in the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. From season 4 of the show, I won't get too spoiler. I'll just say that Faith comes back into the show after she was gone for a while, and every character in the room talks for about 5 minutes about how big a deal this is, how we need to contain this, how we need to find her, how we need to stop her. And Riley, who was a new character that season, was just sitting there the entire time, and at the end of the scene just went, after a comic pause, "Who's Faith?"
Perhaps his finest moment.
Yeah, but probably it's his finest moment because he wasn't that great a character. But this moment, it wasn't as funny because Flint's not been around that long. But this was still kind of funny. It was that kind of thing where May's just like, "Okay, who's Flint?" Apparently he's going to help us save the world. But who's Flint?
I think there's 2 options for what Flint's going to do.
He goes back with them and he holds the Earth together as Quake's destroying it, or something like that.
But maybe not. I mean, first we want to talk about something that Robin says to Coulson. She addressed him and says, Philip Coulson, he can get the pieces. What was it?
He can put all the pieces together. Which, one of 2 things she means by that, in terms of what the pieces are. Either Earth, because it's literally in pieces, or we find a piece of the monolith in this episode.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. The monolith is rock-ish, right?
Yeah, and Flint could conceivably put the monolith
together. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I think that's the most likely option. It's definitely the most obvious one.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as I want to see him just hold his hands up and the Earth just starts to...
That'd be cool. So we're both assuming then when Robin addresses Coulson, and says, "Philip Coulson, he can get the pieces." Yeah. He is Flint. She's not referring to Coulson.
I'd have to go back and watch the scene to get the exact phrasing again.
Right, because it's definitely she says Philip Coulson and then says he. Afterwards.
I'll take your word for it. I don't remember that specifically how it was phrased, okay. But I mean, if I went back and watched that, I would agree with that assessment if that's how she says it. Yeah. Lots of interest. I think this story was kind of impressive in that it took the whole timey-wimey thing, the whole time loop thing. It did some interesting things with it, but I think it gave it a heart at the centre. Robin, who we cared about from another fantastic episode in season 3, right? We've obviously had a little bit of her this season, and this whole idea that she bonds with May, but I do love this idea that she sees everything in her life at the same time, because the episode's called The Last Day. She keeps saying this is the last day, And there was a moment it dawned on me what that actually meant. Before it really got to, because I mean it makes it more obvious as it goes on, but there was a moment where I went, what does the last day mean to her? Does she mean the end of the world? No, she doesn't. She just means the day where she stops seeing things.
Yeah.
Like, she's not seen anything past this day, so this is the last day. It actually makes complete sense. But I do think it's interesting though, because she has this plan. Because May's like, oh, you're going to get a vision to how to save the world, and she tells her, but that doesn't happen in her lifespan. At least as far as we've seen so far. So, one of two things. Either when this plan actually goes through, it's actually a different part of the timeline when she can see it.
That's what I assumed, yeah.
Yeah. Or two, there's actually a little bit more to her power, and she can see alternate timelines as well.
Okay.
That's the other possibility, because she's seeing if it happens after she's died and she's never there to see it.
No, I hadn't considered that. I just assumed it was more because obviously we see this conversation happen in 2 points in time. One is
Well, it does that a lot.
Robin.
It's actually some of the best transitioning between flashbacks I've seen, because the idea is that she's actually having the conversations like into parts of the timeline.
Yeah.
Where she'll start it in the past and go into the present, and sometimes it'll go back and forth. There's a whole thing.
Yeah, it's funny. So she's talking to, as a young girl, she's talking to May, and she's going, oh, I know how to do, I know what's going to happen. This is the stuff, and May says, no, you can't tell me yet because I can't. Basically, I know when I find out. I need to know then. So you can't tell me now, because otherwise you won't tell me then. Which is obviously an interesting twist on it.
But she does say she's not had that vision yet, and she says you will.
Yeah, exactly, because she knows that from her perspective, she has had that vision.
Yeah, but it makes me question though, where did she get that vision? Because everything she's had a vision about is because she sees it at a different part of her life, right?
Yeah.
Right. Now, admittedly, her dad did have that thing where he would just touch someone and he would see their future. So it could be like connected to that, where she still has that element of it, where she'll get glimpses of someone else's future, even though she's not going to live it herself.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Could be as simple as that. I mean, I say that's simple. Simple by comparison to all this other alternate timeline nonsense.
Yeah.
But no, fascinating stuff in that sense. But like I say, Fitz being frustrated in the past, but then Fitz and Simmons being excited to see this machine and be like, oh, it's this. I'm not going to even repeat what they said, but it's this thing with these extra things on it. There's these things. Who built this? And I'm like, I bet it was you. And then, of course, in the flashback, we've got them with the schematics out.
Yeah, but they point out that they wouldn't be able to finish it, that they'd need someone to carry on the work after them.
Fitz is like, yeah, we're probably going to live long enough to actually finish this. But sure enough, someone does go on to continue. Which is actually, I think that's a sign, actually, though, that things have changed since Dave came back. Because everything in these flashbacks, as we've pointed out, implies they've lived through the future and came back, right? However,
yes,
when Fitz says that, he doesn't seem to know that this, Deke's dad will continue building this. That's something he doesn't seem to know, that he finds it in the future nearly finished.
Okay.
Is that a sign that things have already happened differently this loop?
Possibly, yeah.
Ah, that's interesting.
Oh, it is. I'm just trying to recall the exact conversations and be like, It's always tricky when you get into time travel and time loops. Yeah. You have to get the exact phrasing in your mind, don't you?
Yeah, because Simmons says to him, then we have to just believe that someone will continue on. But we actually, their future selves right now have seen that someone did continue on.
Yeah.
Because Voss tells them that. Voss tells him, Deke's old man, he put it together from the schematics.
Was that scene with them talking about that, was that not in the present day where they're like, oh, we could build this if we went back, but we wouldn't finish it, we'd need someone to continue?
No, that was in the past.
Oh, okay.
That was
I'm misremembering that then.
It wasn't the scene with Fitz where he goes off the handle and says all the other meaty stuff. It's the scene before that when they're sort of planning it. There was a flashback sort of before.
Fair enough. I'm mixing it up with one of the ones when they're alone in the room together. No,
which is a really sweet moment, by the way, where they realise they're alone for the first time in a long time, and they just kind of look around the room and they're like, "Oh, okay, mate with the smoochies. You've earned a little smooch. Go for it." Actually, there's a little bit of music that his music was good throughout, as it usually is, but it's when they get a little piece of the monolith and Fitz realises it fits inside, and most of the team are standing watching it, and the camera shot's looking through the hole of this thing that holds the monolith piece, which is like a beacon for the actual monolith in the past, so that everything kind of,
It's what activates it, yeah.
Yeah. So there's this music that's played, and it's actually just a rendition of the main theme, but it was this cool synthy thing we've not heard yet, where it was like, I can't really do it, but it was doing like this ultra synthy thing, and I was like, oh, this is a nice little scene. Like, it worked well in context because it was there's okay, we've got a chance, like we might be able to use this, we might be able to do something with it, but it was just like, oh, I wasn't expecting this cool new little version of the theme. It was nice. It took me by surprise. I liked it.
Yeah, no, it was cool.
So all this stuff was fascinating. If I have complaints about this side of the plot, I actually like that Voss and his cronies try to kill Skye. It makes sense they would want to do that because they know she has to go back at some point to actually, break the world if they believe that it's going to be her, right? That makes sense. The actual moment where he punches Deke or whatever, and he starts being all villainous, I felt a little bit,
bit quick, almost.
Bit quick, bit, here we go, network plot twist, like, kind of thing.
Yeah. I think it's because he was only in this episode. It felt a bit quick. I get it. There's not really much you can do, but if that's the plot and the speed you want to move at, it just feels like we needed a bit more time with him not completely evil.
I think the logic of it is actually kind of interesting and fascinating. It's just the actual speed at which we had to move through him, meeting him for the first time, and then by the end of the episode being like, all villainous. Even if his intentions are relatively understandable, given the context. Skye's inhibitor can't be taken out because it'll need a neurosurgeon, and if a mistake is made, it'll paralyse her. So Fitz and Simmons, not equipped to deal with that. I mean, they're good. Yeah, they're damn good, but they're not.
Yeah.
But they're not specialists
in that area. Out of their realm of capabilities.
Yeah, but they just never studied that particular thing.
I mean, if they had, I'm sure they'd be fine. They're very capable people.
When they get back to present day, Simmons should go take a course so they can do brain surgery.
Exactly. Oh, they could just go to a brain surgeon.
I'm thinking of future proofing though. You take someone to a brain surgeon, they'll fix the brain for one day. You teach someone to be a brain surgeon, they can fix their brain forever.
I feel like this, they won't, but I feel like it would be a really easy place to get a Doctor Strange cameo.
I'm okay not seeing Doctor Strange though, that's fine.
I know, but I feel like it'd be a nice connective touch.
Yeah, okay. He's not really still practicing though, is he? He'd be using magic now to do it, probably.
Yeah, but he could do both.
I mean, he could do. I don't know if he still does though.
Maybe he should. Be pretty arrogant just to, forget everything you knew and go, screw it, magic.
I don't know, are his hands still not maybe articulate enough to do it?
I figure he could at least steady his hands with magic.
Yeah.
Did that not happen in that movie? I feel like it probably should have done.
I can't remember. I don't know.
No, I can't really remember.
I've expunged Doctor Strange from my mind.
I don't particularly remember it. I just feel like it should have happened. That's a logical beat.
All I remember from Doctor Strange, honestly, is a lot of doing this with their hands to make portals.
Lots of portals, yeah.
That and Bald Tilda Swinton. That's what I remember from Doctor Strange. Really, really solid plot. Interesting plot. A lot of theories that you can kind of extrapolate from it.
I really like seeing May as a mother, because obviously we had that whole arc, I think it was like 2 seasons ago now, about how she was going to be a mother.
Yeah, and obviously the cavalry and everything else all happened.
And everything changed. It's nice to see. Okay, no, this is what could have been for her.
Yeah, she still has that in her, even if it was buried deep by tragedy and everything else.
And it's nice that it's coming at a time where she's questioning her role on the team. She has that scene with Coulson being like, well, if I'm not going to be the pilot, I can't protect anyone here. What's the point of me?
Yeah, but no, good stuff. And obviously we still have some other things before we get to Mac and Yo-Yo. Well, I think we'll just briefly mention Cassius and Sonara. They have just a couple of scenes. They have one which basically sets up the plot for Mac and Yo-Yo, where they're we're going to punish the floor of everyone because of what's happened. Because Cassius is pissed that
standard practice.
The Skye is, as he says, the world destroyer, the destroyer of worlds has proved most resourceful was the phrase he used. But that's upset him greatly. So our post-credit tease is Sonara actually arriving on the planet, and she's in like the crashed ship, and she's like sort of checking it out. Joe, it's funny. I'm still loving that they're playing with like little smaller versions of her theme in the score. We just hear the like just it's
Nice.
just bleeding in some way. It's really really good stuff. I also knew it was her, even though you couldn't see any of her. It was just her stance when she was wearing the mask and all that. I knew it was her. I was like, oh, it's Sonara. It's her.
She does carry herself in a very recognizable way.
Yeah, I saw both her and Kasai's the actors had videos put up. I assume on the Shield YouTube page or the Marvel YouTube page of them getting their makeup put on, like a time lapse. And it takes like 3.5 hours for the makeup
Sounds
to put on.
about right. Yeah.
But what I thought was funny is they'd be like drinking soup or whatever while they were getting their makeup on, and then each montage ended with them walking out the trailer, but they'd be in character. They'd she'd be walking in that stance and have the stern look in her face. And they're like, aye, all right, you can wait until I say action. It's fine. Just calm yourself. But no, this is amusing. If you're interested in how long it takes to put on that bloody makeup, you can go check that out.
So on that note, I only learnt this week that May, she tore an ACL in her leg in shooting at the end of last season. That's why her leg's out of action this season.
Ah.
Like, because she actually injured it.
Ah. Oh, that's a shame. Yeah. But that's funny because we just said, we have to incapacitate May. We were at the start of the season.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It was actually just, she injured her leg. She can't do a lot of stuff that she was doing. Let's just write that in.
Oh, fair enough. So season 6 May should be back to top form.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, no, that's exciting. I'm actually really fascinated now to see how Skye gets her neural implant thing out, or inhibitor.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I'm looking forward to the. Like I say, I said this last week, but I'm even more looking forward to it now that they've clearly shown this is difficult. We can't just pop this out. Yeah. Like, how do we get to that stage? Because it's going to happen. We're not going to have her depowered for too long.
Well, she has to destroy the world.
Yeah. Or she has to be a suspect in the destruction of the world.
Yeah, exactly. Can't
least.
Be a suspect if she hasn't got her powers.
Exactly, yeah. Okay, so we had Mac, Yo-Yo, Flint. Flint's freaking out. We have a really sort of tense moment where the rest of the floor basically all say, yeah, why don't you, this is all your fault, go back, because they've shut off the power at this point, you should be downstairs, this is all your fault. Mac has a really nice moment here where he just kind of steps in and says, you don't want to go down this path. Like, he just steps in and is like, no, you back off right now with this hate crime bullshit. And yeah.
Do you know, the way they're acting here is like a family unit. Could Flint be their descendant? Grandchild, perhaps?
Well, depends, because in the flashback, she says, Mac's already dead, so unless she's already pregnant and Mac's death was recent...
she could already have a child, though, at that point, just because she hasn't said anything about it.
I feel like she would be less likely to want to go charging into battle like she was in that scene if she had a kid. So I'm gonna say no right now. I mean, it is possible,
unless she gave the kid up to another family, like, to protect it.
Maybe. Yeah, I'd say unlikely. I mean, I wouldn't rule it out, but I'd say unlikely. I think
that's fair.
No.
I'm just kind of half expecting someone to be someone's descendant. Maybe Fitz and Simmons.
Yeah, maybe they have a kid.
Yeah.
Who we can actually just call. We can actually call the kid Fitzsimmons.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Fitzsimmons and Fitzsimmons. But no, so the whole plan is they go to get their weapons. Mac's very happy to see his shotgun. Delighted. And we get basically the roaches have been released onto the floor with all the people because they're like, why are they not in this floor? This floor should be swarming with these bugs. And they're not here. So they realise they're attacking the main floor. So basically, I mean, first of all, they kill one on their own first. A glorious scene of them. Yeah, they're just firing the guns at it like constantly. And Mac chops off his head. I love
how the limbs go. It really reminds me of Dead Space.
A little bit. Yeah, I can see that. And then, of course, they try and knock out all the... Well, I don't know. The plan's really just to lure them because they know they don't have enough canisters to actually knock them all out. But they get them all in one room, and then Yo-Yo uses those duster things. I forget what they're called, but they've been in past seasons. The thing that you put them on the person and they just sort of disintegrate. And Yo-Yo with her super speed kind of runs around, and it's a really fun scene. Gets all them, and then she gets the suction gun thing to take out all their implants.
Yeah,
like you've got a name for it.
I don't. I was just going to call it the implant removal tool.
Aye, equally clunky. So
it is. I'm not. I mean, what would the acronym for that be? I-R-T. It's the it. It's also awful, I'm aware.
Okay, so, well, so that's basically it. That was the episode. But no, so I think this was a really strong episode. I think it was a really. It opened up the possibilities. It opened up kind of the scope of what the season is doing. Because before it was, okay, time travel, have to fight some aliens and some, horror cockroach things. And yeah, it was all fun. This kind of opened it and said, no, hey, there's actually a little bit more going on here.
It makes me go, okay, this is what the next section of the show is. This time loop. And, okay, maybe we'll get some more of that in the next few episodes at least.
Yeah, for the last couple of this arc, certainly. And when we do go back to present day, which I'm assuming is going to happen with the start of the new arc, or at the end of this one, the idea of not going through with the event that causes all this, I imagine will be a thing that's lingering in the second half of the season.
Yeah, I mean, something I find interesting, though, is what if, a lot of the flashbacky bits that we saw, what if that's actually mostly the second arc? We don't go back in time at all until, the end of this now, and then we still have to do some of those beats because they say the reason they were taken from the diner is that was the last place they were all seen together, so maybe we still go through some of those ideas.
Do you really see them shifting ahead again to 2022 though?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think I do. That whole diner thing to me about them, this is the last time they've been seen. I like that. That was kind of no, that's why they were abducted by Enoch at that moment. It's because that was the last time they were together to do this.
Yeah.
But again, I kind of see it as, well, the timeline changes now because, and again, you could argue maybe the reason why that's the last time they're all seen together is because Coulson or someone doesn't go back.
That's the thing. Yeah. Does Mac die anyway? Because we know he dies in some versions of this.
Possibly. But like I say, I think things will change this time. I think that's kind of part of the fun of this.
Things will. It's just how much is the question. How close they get. Are some things going to happen anyway, like Mac or Coulson? Whatever happens with Coulson, we don't know.
Yeah. The other two linger. I mean, obviously with Sky, we have who actually destroys? Who actually destroys the world? Is it her? But if it is her, then why? What makes her angry enough to actually crack the planet in half? Is it secretly just Thanos this whole time? That's the reveal in the finale, and it's like, go see Infinity War.
I mean, it'd be timed up, not too far off.
It would be too far. It'll probably be about 4 episodes from the end, like it usually is, though.
Yeah, probably.
It's usually about then. But I like this episode a lot. This had a lot of interesting things, and there's probably a lot more possibilities that we've not even touched upon.
I mean, just thinking about Coulson, we've still got his deal with Ghost Rider to come into play at some point.
Yeah, that was a very good point. I'll be honest, that had left my head completely.
Okay, that's fair. But I mean, they could just do nothing with it, but I'd expect them to do something with it. I feel like they had an exact plan.
Well, I mean, we forgot to bring up the fact that we found was it Gravitonium last week? Which was going all the way back to season 1. I don't remember a whole lot about that plot because it's been a long time. I do remember the scientist being sucked into it. Monolith style, actually. It was a lot like a monolith.
It wasn't it? And I wonder if maybe that is linked in some way as well and activates things. It could also be what's causing the gravity storms.
It could also be what breaks the world apart. Like I actually kind of expect that Doctor guy from season 1 will probably be the villain in the second half of the season, or one of.
That makes sense.
I'm still kind of half expecting Cassius' dad to pop up in the second half of the season, but I feel like those are those are the ideas I think we'll be playing with in the second half of the season. But
that makes sense to me.
But we'll see. I actually really like that they're bringing something from season 1 back like that, because it's nice when you're hitting episode 100 to sort of harken back, and it makes me wonder, like, did they always plan on bringing this back, or did someone realise, hey, we set that up in season 1, we should do something with it?
It's probably more likely that I've gone, hey, that was there, why not pull on that thread?
It reminds me of Fringe, actually. There was a thing in Fringe in season 5 that finally answered something that was in like episode 4 of Fringe.
Yeah, I know what you're on about, because I remember asking you, okay, does this, because I watched that episode and then I watched like the rest of the season and it never came up again. So I was like, hey, does this get answered? He was like, yeah, but not for a long time.
Yeah, this is years later. Which I actually kind of liked. I mean, obviously, you don't want everything to be like that in a show, but I actually really like when there's a couple of things early on that don't come up again until like 4 or 5 seasons later.
And it's, I was saying about the Ghost Rider thing. Just because we know it's there doesn't mean that's going to come into play now. That could be something they go next season.
Yeah, season 6.
Whenever they feel like it, basically.
Yeah, season 7 maybe.
Yeah, getting ambitious.
Well, you know what? Feeling hope. Hey, time can be changed. The time loop can be altered, and that's what this arc's going to be about ultimately.
Break the cycle.
Well, that's the thing. We're not going to end this arc with the world actually getting destroyed. We're going to fix that, if nothing else. So. We'll get to that and we'll see how it plays out. But really liked this episode. Thought it was really sweet with all the Robin stuff. Her theme playing as she died was actually kind of tearjerkery given. And what I like is it's actually a very nice companion to her first episode with her dad back in season 3.
Similar ending.
Yeah, it actually flows quite nicely to it with that as a sort of bookend.
It almost feels planned, doesn't it?
It almost does. But, TV is somewhat written as it goes along, and I actually kind of appreciate when they do this.
It's often more impressive because of that, in the way that a lot of the time they don't plan things out that far ahead. They just go, hey, this is an idea, and then they'll just pick up on it.
I mean, obviously, it varies show to show. Sometimes you'll get bigger, broader strokes. Like, I know Whedon, when he did Firefly, he had like a rough 5-season plan, like... Serenity the movie. That was a lot of that was the season 2 finale. Basically, was what he'd said. But a lot of the individual episodes in between, they're all kind of like, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, something that springs to mind is Breaking Bad. The final season, obviously, that was split into A and B. There's something that in the one time period in the first part that has a really key scene, and and it's setting up some stuff that they've said outright they had no idea where they were going with that. They were just like, we'll wing it. We'll get to it next year.
Yeah, no, that's how TV works. And some people get really upset about that. They're like, why is it all not planned meticulously so that everything is like... Well, A, it's really hard to do that, and B, just things change. Like, something that seems like a good idea when you start it, you quickly realise that isn't that great, so we write it off as quickly as humanly possible.
In a way, it often makes the character evolution much more natural, because you're not penned into certain ideas and tropes of where they've got to be for this. You kind of just go, this is where they should be right now.
As long as you don't do something that completely breaks a character at some point, which, some shows also do. Like, some shows make a mistake, and the show never recovers from it. So that's why you have good writing teams and good showrunners.
And clearly here they've always stayed pretty much on target. Maybe some bits weaker than others, but the broad strokes are there.
Yeah. Jed and Marissa, I trust them as a pair to
absolutely
to keep going. Anyway, so that's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 5, Episode 8. Let us know what you think of this one in the comments and stuff. Like, subscribe, all the usual stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support this channel, head over to patreon.com/mailedfuzztv. You can get a link to that in the description. And that's everything else I usually say, I think. So that's S.H.I.E.L.D. Again, apologies a little bit later this weekend. Blame power outages and the weather, but hopefully next week.
Back on time next week.
With a bit of luck. So that is S.H.I.E.L.D. Well, thanks very much for watching once again. Always appreciate it. Keep watching TV. We'll see you next time. Have you got any vanilla?